It may not be the season of giving anymore, but it's always a great time to talk about gifts. And I'm not talking the types of presents that we may give or get for holidays or for birthdays. I'm talking about how we sell insurance. So let's start with an important fact. Most insurance agents, including you, are driven by sales. It's clear in the way they talk. In fact, when I sit down with agents, it's very clear through intense conversations how an agent talks about their customer, or what's happening in their customers' lives, or what the customer cares about, how the agency is serving that customer. But at the end of the day, there's still no one size fits all when it comes to sales. And you can just ask Lisa Hamm of New Jersey-based Clyde Paul Agency. Lisa's agency has no producers. That means there's no salespeople on her team. Instead, the agency sells 100% of business through its partners, or what they call centers of influence. These are accountants, real estate agents, and financial advisors. And with the help of those centers of influence, the agency's grown pretty significantly. So some might say it's the gift that keeps on giving, because once she connects with a partner, it develops into a long-term relationship, and they bring not just one, but many new clients to her agency. So Lisa, thank you for joining us to chat a little bit more about this. I want to jump right in and know more about your sales strategies. Have you always sold through these centers of influence, or was this a shift after you tried a couple other methods out?
So you ask, do we always sell this way? And the answer is not no, not always. I'm the third generation owner of the Clyde Paul Insurance Agency. So first generation, you had to build a book of business. So that's what my grandfather did in a pretty traditional way here on Main Street in New Jersey, kind of as a community recognized thought leader, influencer, and built his book of business. And my father followed suit and bought some books of business over the years. Unfortunately, my dad and my grandfather passed away about a week apart from each other. So I came into the industry, into the agency, and really at that point, we didn't need someone to sell insurance. We needed someone to run the agency, to think about strategy, and to move the business forward. So my background before I came into the agency was a CPA. I worked at PricewaterhouseCoopers for 7 years. So over time, after I worked on the strategy of the agency and moving the business forward, my team had the relationships with many of our clients. So my book of business was moving forward with trusted team members working with our clients. And I started to form relationships with different advisors, CPAs, just because of my background. So it wasn't a strategy per se in the beginning, just kind of my niche and who I connected with. But over time, it proved successful, and that's kind of how we run the business today.
So when I first learned about this, my first question is, how do you find these partners or these centers of influence? Do they come to you? Do you go to them? What's the relationship look like? How do you help them sell for you or with you? How do you pay them? How does it all work?
So I love the question, how do you pay them? Because as I developed relationships with different financial advisors and CPAs, I was concerned, how can I strengthen these relationships? What can I do? And originally my thought went to paying them. Like, how can I compensate them? Is there a way to really thank them for all the value that they're bringing to my business? And the truth is, the financial advisors, the CPAs, the real estate agents, they are looking for someone that they really trust with their clients. They're making plenty of money doing what they do, but they're more worried of referring them to someone that hurts the relationship than a referral fee or some kind of compensation.
As you've looked at this sales strategy, how has it contributed to your ability to scale the agency, both in terms of new business, but in types of business, the staff you hire? How has that affected the scalability of the agency?
By building the organization this way and compensating our team with salary as opposed to commission, and cutting out the producer piece of it in terms of expenses, it allows us to really compensate our team in a way that is as true professional advisors. It gives them the bandwidth to make the right decisions for our clients. And I think everybody wins. I think my team wins. I think our clients win because they get the best advice all the time. So it really then has allowed us to grow because it also frees up our time.
Am I oversimplifying this if I say that you have built your agency on a deep referral network, working with not only other community businesses, but your client base and so forth, just to drive business in of mutual benefit to other businesses in the community? Is that a lot of the influence of these centers of influence?
Yeah, absolutely. And in just being authentic. So I happen to have a background as an accountant. So for me, my relationships have always been solidified by being able to talk to them about different needs that they might have in that area. But I can think of other agents that, are in my network that I'm friendly with. And there's a guy I know that's, a prominent boater. He's been a boater his whole life. He fished with his father and always had boats in his family. And so his rec marine portfolio is huge, and that allows him to kind of dive deeper with some high net worth clients. And so I think it's just about, whether it was my grandfather, my father, or now myself and our team, is everyone just connecting where they're authentic with our clients and our centers of influence, financial advisors, lawyers, et cetera.
So by having this deep network that you're able to work within in terms of these centers of influence and your client base and so forth, how do you plan? I mean, are you able to collaborate with these partnerships in terms of just agency strategy, the hard market that agents are experiencing? Are you able to educate them on that? Do you educate them on that? Handoffs or communication between the client, your agency, centers of influence. How do you coordinate all of that?
Communication is the most important part, right? So if one of your centers of influences trusts you with their client, it's just imperative that you keep them connected with what's going on. So on a client level, communication. Someone refers you. I had today, actually this morning, someone refer me a higher net worth client. They have $1 million umbrella policy. Their net worth is 15 million, so they need a higher umbrella. So over the process of while we work with their client, we'll keep the financial advisor looped in with every step of the way. Again, even when there's problems. So perhaps they have a youthful driver, they have many claims, and we actually can't get them the limits they want, or it's there can be hiccups along the way, just making sure they understand why we've gone the direction we have, and communicating that with the financial advisor is key at the client level. Overall, just staying connected with what's going on in the industry. So the hard market right now, just individual conversations, also meeting with different centers of influences as a group allows us to strategize and explain what's going on, and them knowing they can reach out to us. So, I mean, Hurricane Sandy, Hurricane Irene, COVID, cybersecurity, all of these things have an impact with the financial advisors in their portfolio, but then also they know they can reach out to us and ask how it will impact their insurance or if we can help them. So I would also say we need to stay up to date with what's going on in their world. So during COVID, insurance, we couldn't really help people directly. It was excluded from, policies, and it wasn't really our time to shine. But then this is where, as being a CPA, I was able to kind of help the CPAs with the Paycheck Protection Program. Often their clients were in need of some support, and the CPAs were having a moment where they just were completely strapped for time. Every single client needed them at the same time. So we would often handle some overflow, just advising them, this is what the program's about, any information that we had. So just really working hand in hand in any way that we can.
So I think everyone's experienced at some point in time a partnership that went south or didn't pan out. They all aren't meant to be magic. Can you talk about how a partner is going to be a good fit? And likewise, are there red flags that you've picked up over the years, or perhaps some stories, without names, of course, of situations that just haven't worked out?
The red flags are easy, and it's amazing how many times it happens over and over again. So it's a relationship business, and it's one that the more you get involved in the industry, the smaller it gets, right? The world shrinks quickly. So being able to know that the individual financial advisors are ones that are looking for a long-term relationship and looking to do right by their client. Not everything's a perfect fit for my office from a certain CPA or vice versa. So the red flag is definitely whenever a relationship starts and maybe you go grab lunch or have a second meeting. And at some point, if the CPA or the advisor says, you know what, I think we're really very well aligned. What would be great is if you could print out a list of all your clients and their addresses. And then what I can do is I can start reaching out to them with a letter. Maybe you could include their phone number, and I can call them and I can tell them about our relationship. And it's happened so many times that this conversation, it just doesn't make sense that we would align at that point, right? So from a confidentiality standpoint, we would never give all of our clients' information to anyone without speaking with the client first. And then every client is not a fit for every financial advisor, which is why we have different relationships, right? We have strong relationships with the centers of influence that we work with, but maybe one focuses on high net worth, maybe one focuses on business owners. So we're going to make sure our clients are matched with the right advisor for their needs, and vice versa. Sometimes the financial advisor calls me and says, hi, I have this person that, really needs help with their hospital insurance. They run the hospital and there's certain areas, and that's not something I focus on. So I wouldn't be a right match. But it's when a connection, a relationship starts and someone just wants access to all of your clients' information so that they can sell. And that's the primary focus that I know is not the right fit for us.
One of the things that I've learned about you that's been really compelling is that you've talked about having a 100% close ratio. So can you elaborate on that a little bit, and what advice you'd have in terms of specifically this model for others that want the same?
So we focus on the risks that are the items that we can do the best on. They are the risks that our client needs help with, that we can service the best, that we can protect them the best. So by doing that, we really free up our team's time to focus on what they know they're going to close, they know that they're going to write, and that we know we're going to be able to offer the best protection. And that strategy then allows us to write more business that is what we are the best at. So by freeing up our team's time, it allows us to grow the agency working on what we do the best at. And when an agency is more sales focused, sometimes they can spend time quoting things, or if they have producers where they're going to get compensated on commission, they might want to quote more things just to see, just to try. And for us, we really focus on exactly what we're targeting.
So for agents that are listening to you right now saying, I'd like to build out this model a little bit more, explore how this could work for my agency, is this, I think I know the answer to this, is this something that happens overnight? And if not, what are the first couple of steps that an agent would take to evaluate this sort of model, and how to begin to go down this path?
I think that's the hardest part, is not often, but more than a handful of times I can think of, talking with my team and saying, guys, we're going to have to take, a step backwards to move 2 steps forwards. We're going to have to slow down to speed up, right? So sometimes it's a matter of, stopping what we're chasing, what we're looking at, and saying, is that exactly what is the fit that we can do our best for that client? Or is it something that is outside of our wheelhouse and would be best not going down that road, to then free up time? Time is the resource that is the most in need. And once you have the time to then develop relationships, you can say, who will I connect with? And it really just is being authentic. So everyone's not going to connect with the CPAs. Thankfully, I have other aspects of my life that are not just accounting and insurance, but those are the areas that help a lot in terms of my business. But again, going back to my friend who's the boating background, whatever your passions are, wherever you connect with different people, then that will bring that type of business in, and then for further referrals. But it does take time, but in the end, for us, it really allows us to know that we're focusing on our clients' needs above all. And for me, that's the recipe for success.